Please rise. The court welcomes the Honorable Judge Judy.
I call this court into session. Oscar Wilde is called to trial for crimes of sodomy and slander against Lord Queensberry. How do you plead?
My client pleads not guilty, Your Honor.
Opening statement from the prosecution.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may it please the court. The prosecution hereby finds Oscar Wilde guilty of sodomy and slander against Lord Queensberry based on the following witness accounts: his recently published book, Dorian Gray, and the accounts of several letters which have been found to indicate such. Your Honor, may the prosecution call our first witness, Oscar Wilde, to the stand.
Motion granted.
Mr. Wilde, is this a copy of your recently published book, A Picture of Dorian Gray?
Yes, it is.
So, in that being so, you wrote all the words in this book, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right, so I would now like to read an excerpt for the court from page 11. Say, Dorian, have you noticed anything different about the painting recently?
Yes, Basil,
Wait,
there's something.
hear me out. I've noticed that I've begun to start worshiping you're the perfect specimen for my art. I've never met someone with such beauty before. I feel like my art is just the vessel of that. All right, Dorian, you are my masterpiece. You are such a prime work of art that I feel that even when we're not together, I feel your presence. I've never felt this way towards anyone, yet I'm comforted by it. You're my muse, my inspiration for what I do. The studio was filled with the rich odor of roses, and when the light summer wind stirred amidst the trees of the garden, there came through the open door the heavy scent of the lilac, or the more delicate perfume of the pink flowering thorn. This is clearly the writing of a homosexual, one who likely would practice in the art of
Sodomy.
Objection, Your Honor. On the count that this book is fiction, it should not be used in a testimony against my client.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will now read another excerpt from the book that clearly shows the tendencies of a homosexual author. This is an excerpt referring to two characters, Lord Henry and Basil, the painter. The story is simply this. 2 months ago, I went to a catch at Lady Brannan's. You know, we poor artists have to show our faces in public some of the time to assure society that we aren't savages. Well, anyway, with my white tie, I went in. Well, you know, as some say, even a stockbroker can gain a reputation for being civilized. Well, after I'd been in the room for about 10 minutes, I suddenly I had this feeling like someone was watching me. So I turned around and saw Dorian Gray for the first time. When our eyes met, I felt that I was growing pale. A curious sensation of terror came over me. I knew that I had come face to face with someone whose mere personality was so fascinating that if I allowed it to do so, would absorb my whole nature, my whole soul, my very art itself. I did not want any external influence in my life. You know yourself, Henry, how independent I am by nature. I've always been my own master. But hey, till I met Dorian Gray then, I don't know how to explain it to you. Something seemed to tell me that I was on the verge of a terrible crisis in my life. I had a strange feeling that fate had in store for me exquisite joys and exquisite sorrows. I felt like I was in love. Cut there.
This Dorian Gray character seems truly fascinating. But After viewing your piece of art, I can't understand why something so beautiful, why you won't display it for the rest of the world to see.
No, man, you don't get it. I feel like I just put too much of myself.
You've already told me that. You've told me you put too much of yourself in that, but I don't understand. That doesn't seem like
But
a real reason.
that really defeats the purpose of the art, in my opinion. Because to make art that's truly art reflects the subject, not the creator. But this shows too much. I just put too much of myself into my art, man.
Ready?
Speak loud.
Yep.
The story is simply this. 2 months ago, I went to a crush at Lady Brandon's. You know, we poor artists have to show ourselves in society from time to time to let the public know we aren't savages. Well, with an evening coat and a white tie, as you told me once, anybody, even a stockbroker, can gain a reputation. This scene from the picture of Dorian Gray shows a clearly homosexual relationship between Basil and the character Dorian Gray, because he expresses that he almost feels a sense of love towards another man, which is, yeah, all just...
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like my client to speak for his own work.
Objection granted.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
What exactly did you intend with this scene then, Mr. Wilde?
Let me explain. In the precepts, I wrote, the art does not reflect the artist. And I'd like for this book to not reflect who I am. There are scenes in this book that may be a little bit sketchy, but my bad. This is what I wrote. That's what I mean.
Your Honor, I would like to call Exhibit B to attention. Here is a letter addressed to Lord Queensberry from Oscar Wilde.
All right. Dearest of all boys, your letter was delightful, red and yellow wine to me, but I am sad and out of sorts. Bosie, you must not make scenes with me. They kill me. They wreck the loveliness of life. I cannot see you, so Greek and gracious, distorted with passion. I cannot listen to your curved lips saying hideous things to me. I would sooner than have you bitter, unjust, hating. I must see you soon. You are the divine thing I want, the thing of grace and beauty, but I don't know how to do it. Shall I come to Salisbury? My bill here is £49 for a week. I have also got a new sitting room. Why are you not here, my dear, my wonderful boy? I fear I must leave no money, no credit, and a heart of lead. Your own Oscar.
The defendant may now present his closing statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's absurd to use this piece of literature that my client wrote, this work of art that was intended for entertainment and for art for the people. It's absurd to use it as evidence in a court of law to condemn my client for sodomy or slander against Lord Queensberry. Your Honor, my client is not guilty on all counts, and I would move that we end proceedings and find him not guilty. Thank you.
I now hear a closing statement from the prosecution.
Your Honor and gentlemen of the jury, I find the evidence clear and undeniable that Oscar Wilde is in fact a homosexual who we may righteously accuse of sodomy. The evidence supported in this book shows that he clearly has homosexual tendencies, and in the letter that he was likely to have spoken more slander about Lord Queensberry. I find that the evidence is clear and urge you to condemn this criminal before he can do the society any more harm.
The court finds Oscar Wilde guilty of slander and sodomy.